All right. Sure. Okay. Oh, I love the center frame. It just looks so nice. Uh, let me make sure on the computer I can see myself and hear myself. If you are watching live, let me know if you can see me and hear me. And if you are watching the replay, let me know if you can see me and hear me. I can see myself. Yes, yes. Okay, cool. Camera's working, audio's working. We're gonna get started on our podcasting mini course. Today is day 3. We're going to do a quick recap of day 1 and day 2, get into day 3, and you can let me know if you have questions along the way. Feel free to put them down in the comments, and then we're going to move on to day 4 tomorrow. But hello, good morning. My name is Jakara Davis. This is the podcasting mini course where we're not talking about any of the technology with podcasting, just strictly the foundation of getting you and your podcasting idea set up. And over these past few days, we have just been asking 2 questions a day at a time, and it is up to you to answer them. This is the more creative side of podcasting, rather than when you get into the tech. So going over day 1 and day 2, and then we're going to get into day 3. Feel free to answer the questions down in the comments as well. And if you have questions or you're stuck and you're like, Jakara, I really need help, please just let me know down in the comments as well, and I am happy to help you. So day 1, the 2 questions that we had were, why do you want to create a podcast? Why is it special to you? And who are the people that you see listening to your podcast? Who do you want to listen to your podcast? Who is the audience that is listening to your podcast? So that was day 1. Day 2 is, what are you telling your audience? So are you sharing personal stories? Are you going to be collaborating with other people? Is this going to be more of a teaching style? What does that look like to you? What topics will you be sharing? And then the second question was, how are you going to be sharing these episodes? So is it just going to be you as a solo podcaster? Are you going to have a host? Are you going to have guests? Are you not going to have guests? And it's totally fine to change as you go with podcasting as well. Okay, so those were the questions for the last 2 days. Today we just have 1 question, and then tomorrow we're going to take all of these questions and put them together to build your description, and I'm going to give you a formula on how to do that, but that we're covering tomorrow. So the last question before we get to the description formula tomorrow is, when are you releasing podcast episodes? So I know that sounds like a very simple question of when you release it. Well, I'm just going to release it like once a month, or I'm going to release an episode every week. That's a good place to start. But when you're releasing podcast episodes, really think about the time that you have to do into it. I would say as a beginner, each episode should take about an hour, and that's just with you when you're going to record and edit and then like write all the show notes and put it out there. It will take you about average time of an hour, and then as you do more podcasting, it will take you shorter and shorter time. So if you say that you want to release 1 episode a month, do you have an hour out of the month that you can work on your podcast episode? If you're releasing an episode once a week, do you have an hour once a week where you can release a podcast episode to actually work on it? And I'm saying this to really look at your time capacity, because I know that we all have lives and you don't want to shove your podcast into your life and then feel overwhelmed that it's not working out and that you don't really want to do this, when you really do, because you're going back to that why question of why you want to create a podcast. That is the thing that's going to keep you going even when you don't want to. So when I say look at your time capacity, really look at that. And it's totally fine to change how often you want to release a podcast episode and how often you want to collaborate with other people. I believe that having guests on your podcast is a great way for yourself to take a break, especially if you are releasing more than 1 episode per month. So, for instance, I have 2 different, I think that's a washing machine noises in your house. So I have 2 different podcasts, and they're on 2 different schedules. So Let's Try Adulting release every other Wednesdays, and then See You Own It, which used to be Project Podcast, those release every single Sunday. So do I have that capacity to release 6 episodes a month? And I don't batch, or I do batch. I don't work on my podcast every single day. I do batch episodes, but look at your time capacity and where you can schedule time and where you can make time for your podcast. And if you say, I want to start off releasing an episode once a month, and you're like, Jakara, okay, this is going really well, I want to add more. Cool, add 1 more episode at a time. See how that is working out. and then keep going from there. Or if you start the other way and you say, I want to release an episode every single week, that's fine as well. Start with releasing an episode every single week, and then if you say this is overwhelming to me, then that's something that you can change. You can always change it later, and that goes later when you're starting the podcast and you're putting it out there, because you're actually doing the work and figuring out what works for you and what doesn't. But right now, in the moment, what is the bare minimum that you can do to release a podcast episode? My suggestion would be to release 2 episodes per month, because I know that you have 2 hours in your month to actually work on episodes, whether it's just you sitting in your car recording something for 20 minutes, or you even connecting with a guest. I fully believe that that is possible for you when you do launch your podcast. So aim for 2. You can grow or take away from that when you go. But through this process, so when yesterday we talked about all the topics and the things that you're going to say to your audience and what that looks like, if it's going to be just you or a guest or you and a co-host. So you have all those ideas, and now you know when you're going to be releasing episodes. Start to take out, really simply, take out a piece of paper, write down day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, or episode 1, 2, 3, 4, and put those topic ideas into those slots and see how far you get, and let me know down in the comments how far you get as well. I love doing this, sitting down and just brainstorming different topics for both of my podcasts, whether it's Let's Try Adulting or See Own It, things that are happening in my community, questions that I get asked, something that I feel that's on my heart, things that I find hilarious that I know that I won't do, why does no one iron their curtains? That's actually an episode on Let's Try Adulting. There's so many different things. That's fine. And with those ideas, I just plug them into the dates or the days that I know where I have open availability, open slots to have a podcast episode. And that is how I get so far ahead with episodes. Now, I'm not recording them all at the same time, not editing them all at the same time, not doing all that at the same time. It's just putting down the ideas, and that is what we're working on today. Just having those ideas, knowing when you are having the podcast episodes, and then putting the topics and ideas and everything that we did yesterday into those different slots. So that is all that we have for today, for the day 3 of the podcasting mini course. So each of the other days, and this one will be linked at the top as well inside of the featured. So I'm going to go over the questions really quickly one more time, but we will be having a Your Podcast, Your Story live course. Another live round June 20th through July 1st. So if you want to join that, the details will be down in the comments. I will post it after this live video as well. But I would love to have you join, and this will get further into actually creating your podcast and launching and taking your podcast from idea to launch. And then we do talk about all the tech and the recording and editing, and I'm there to hold your hand and create your podcast trailer for you. And there's tons of videos and resources as well inside of the program. And then we do have one-on-one checkpoints with myself to help you with your podcasting journey. So going over the questions from day 1 again was, why do you want to create a podcast, and who is listening to your podcast? Day 2, the 2 questions were, what are you telling your audience, and how are you sharing that podcast? So the topics, and then also, are you doing this by yourself as a solo host or a co-host or a guest, or what does that look like? And then today it was day 3, is how often or when are you releasing your podcast episodes? So when you have all of those questions answered, you're going to show up tomorrow, and I'm going to tell you how to write your podcast description with a formula of all the questions that we have used. It's very simple, it is very easy, but you need to have all of these questions answered before we can get to that formula. So at any time, if you have questions over the last 3 days of something that you have been stuck on, or you're like, Jakara, I'm not just quite sure about this part, please let me know down in the comments. You can also DM me, and I would love to hear about your podcast and your idea and see more podcasts get out into the world, because podcasts have really changed my life. And over the last 3 years, I'm an introvert, does not seem like that. I have used to show up live and do podcasting things, my armpits would sweat. They do sweat a little bit more, but now it's been less and less so. I have greatly appreciated the journey and the process. I appreciate you being here and showing up for your own podcast and your own self and everything. And if you have any questions at all about anything with podcasting, let me know down in the comments and I will be happy to answer them. So I hope you have a super awesome Thursday and show up here tomorrow for day 4 of our last podcasting mini course. All of these are linked up in the feature, just right up there. I don't know about this whole pointing thing. I don't know about this yet. But you can always ask me questions down in the DMs as well. And yeah, again, my name is Jakari Davis, and I hope that you have a super awesome day. And I will talk to you tomorrow morning at 8:30 a.m. Central Time for day 4. We're putting this all together with all the questions. All right, have a great day.